got some news. It's that special day of the week. It's for the thirsty, not the meek. Hump day, dum day, diddly diddly dum day. Hump day, diddly diddly dum. Who needs the book? Just toss it out. Joe came to cook, believers best watch out. I say, hump day, did I stutter? Hump day, smooth like butter, diddly diddly dump day. Shh, listen up. It's hump day, dump day, diddly diddly dump day. Tossing out the Bible like it's trash from Sunday. Genesis to Revelation, yeah, I'm done playing dumb. Hey, memorizing verses, that's a vapid skill, babe. Flipping through Leviticus, it's smelling like a sunset. Call it liberation, I'm about to make the jump. Hey. Hump day, dump day, diddly diddly dump day. Hump day, I got the hump. Diddly diddly dump day.
That's a hump day, dump day. Good morning, Home Slice. How are you?
So, CrystalJae, I'm good. So I want to say something. I mean, okay, you may not agree with it, but just in this example, if you know there was like somebody big, like okay, let me just use Richard Dawkins. If Richard Dawkins got struck by lightning right after he left a lecture about, you know, he's the guy that preaches against God, could you understand a theist laughing about that? Like immediately their reaction would be like, God got him, and laughing about that, right? Like, could you at least understand that reaction?
Well, I'm sorry. When I was a Christian, I would have never done that. That was not Christ-like.
Well, I'm sorry. Just the sheer irony of it would make me laugh. Okay.
Well, then you're not a good person. You're just a horrible human being.
I don't think so. I think it's just.
I know you don't, but I do, and I did as a Christian too. I would have thought you were not a real Christian. You are just an evil person. And when you got to heaven, Jesus would say, "Get away from me. I do not know you."
Okay, but you as an atheist, you don't have a reason to be morally outraged about anything. So if we're just animals.
Okay, so listen, first of all, it's ridiculous to say that because somebody doesn't believe like you, they don't have a right to have any moral compass whatsoever. That is so narcissistic, so myopic, and it just shows that you are just a privileged white man living in America who thinks everybody should bow down to you and your thoughts. But we're not going to, Home Slice. It's not going to happen.
Well, what do you think about people that laughed about Charlie Kirk? Their initial reaction was like he got what was coming to him.
I think that anybody who laughs at somebody else who is unalived, especially in a horrific way like gun violence, is a horrible human being.
What if they're, hold on, okay, well, what if that person is a PDF file and something bad happens to them? Is that okay to laugh at them then?
I would not laugh at them. I don't know why you think laughing is where I would go. My father was a pedophile. My father was, and he died, and I didn't laugh.
So you don't think it's ever funny or good when somebody that's evil gets justice dealt to them? Like, not funny.
I'm sorry, are you insinuating that are you insinuating that Arwen is evil? Or that Charlie Kirk was evil?
Well, no, look, yeah. If you're gonna be like a major player in this,
that laughed at Arwen getting her house burned.
And he was just on Solvino's, and he doubled down.
Fuck you, get the fuck out of here and never come here again. Thank you, Lathe. Thank you.
Yeah, he was just on Solvino's, and he said that basically the same thing.
And he came here to try to do the same shit, thinking that I would somehow be fucking okay with laughing at people. I think that there are things like, it's ironic that a man like Charlie Kirk died by gun violence when he thought that lives were that in order to protect the Second Amendment that some people had to die. I think that's
Yes.
ironic. I don't find humor in it. I don't laugh at Charlie Kirk. I don't laugh at the fact that his children lost their father. I don't laugh at the fact that somebody lost a husband and somebody lost a son and people lost a friend. I don't laugh at that. I don't laugh at human suffering. That's fucking weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do I see irony in it? Of course I fucking do. You'd have to be blind not to see the irony in that.
Yeah. It's like, of course, like, yes, I do see the irony in it. And that part is like, that's what we comment on.
Exactly. Way too welcome to the show. Can I get your age for TikTok purposes?
24.
And are you a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible?
I believe in God.
Is it the God of the Bible?
The Bible?
Yes.
Nah, not really. I believe
Okay,
in
well, we're
some parts
talking
of it.
today about women were slaves in the Bible. So I don't know if you really would qualify for this conversation if you don't believe
Well,
in
I
it.
read the Bible though, so.
So what does that? I read the Bible and they are slaves in the Bible. What does that do for me?
Yeah, I agree with it. That's why I'm coming out.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you coming up and you have a lovely day.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry, we're looking for ops today, people who want to talk to us and debate whether women were slaves in the Bible or not. So if you are one of my friends, then of course you're always welcome up. Creative God, I see you out there. I'm mad. What am I mad about? You don't believe in the God of the Bible. We don't have anything to talk about. You agree with my prompt, Wade, too. Why would I keep you up here? I don't know why you think I'm mad about that. I'm not mad. Limpu, can I get your age for TikTok purposes?
Yeah, I'm 18.
Are you a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible?
I'm a Christian.
Okay, so today we're talking about that women were slaves in the Bible. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, according to my internal paradigm, I would disagree.
Okay, and how can you disagree with that when the Bible says things like, fathers, when you sell your daughters?
Because in my internal paradigm, I will take the interpretation of the church fathers. That's my hermeneutical framework.
Can you tell me which church father and where he said that women were not slaves in the Bible? I'll look it up.
Oh, wait. I mean, you're making the positive claims, so that's not my burden.
Oh, no, I already just told you where it says that we were slaves. Now, can you please tell me the church father who disagrees with that?
That's not my burden. You're the one who's arguing.
No, I did, and you now made a contrary claim, and I am asking you to quantify your claim that church fathers disagree that men were allowed to sell their daughters into slavery. Please provide your counter evidence. This is so fucking stupid already this morning. What is wrong with people? I made a claim. I said, the Bible says, fathers, you may sell your daughters. You said, church fathers disagree with me. I said, name the church father and tell me where he disagrees. And now you're saying I have to go back and talk about what I already said. Hey, don't fucking tell me to chill. And don't request up if you're going to tell me to chill. I don't bring up little bitches.
Wait.
Go ahead,
Do you want me to? Okay, wait. No, so I'm not supposed to prove a negative. Since you're doing a positive that according to this verse, this is
you to prove a negative.
I'm speaking.
You made a claim that a church father disagrees with me, and you won't fucking prove it.
I didn't.
Yes, you did. You said that you go by church fathers and they disagree with me.
Yeah, so wait, hold on. What I said was that I'm going to take the position of the church father. So can you give me a church father who agrees with that interpretation? If not, then I don't have to hold that.
Get the fuck out of here. You don't even know what you're talking about. When you come up here and I make a claim that the Bible says there's slavery, and I quote to you where the Bible says that women are slaves, and you say the church fathers don't agree with you, it is now your burden to prove that the church fathers disagree with me. I didn't say the church fathers agree with me. You said the church fathers disagree with me. What is with these people today?
Yeah.
Hello, what do I call you? Oh, now you don't want to come up? You had a lot to say in the comments, though, huh? It's not a negative claim. You are a child. You don't even know what you're saying. You're trying to come up and be some Philbro. And this is why you don't like what I did, okay? Because all of you think you can hide behind the church fathers. But when we put your feet to the fire and say, okay, name one church father and what he said about this, you don't have anything because you don't really go by the church fathers. You just think they disagree with everything we say. You don't know shit about your church fathers. You know Thomas Aquinas. That's what you know. You know what? Thomas Aquinas thought women were deformed men. This is the one that you guys think had an IQ of 170.
What?
Yeah, he literally thought that women were just mutations of men, like we were deformed and like we didn't get our penis, okay? And he also thought that hell was a place for people in heaven to watch for eternity, to be entertained by the torture of the people in hell. So he literally was looking forward to the day where he could watch his loved ones being tortured forever. That's who they love. Thomas Aquinas.
I definitely can have spoken to some Christians who would probably enjoy that.
Yeah.
Enjoy watching it.
Definitely.
Sometimes I ask him, I'm like, do you actually, like, do you want me to go to heaven? Do you want me to become a Christian? Because it seems like you're very happy that I'm not, and that I will be spending forever in, torture.
Yeah,
You're awfully giddy.
It's like, just like, I mean, with Home Slice, for him to come up and just be like, wouldn't you think that people would be happy about that? I'm not even joking. As a Christian, no, I did not feel that way. And maybe that's why a lot of us are not Christians now, because we weren't the hateful, bitter people that the Christians are. And we couldn't stay that way.
Sometimes because it's hard to know, right? And you always want to think the best of yourself.
Yeah.
But like, when I think about, like, if I had been asked about the the slaughtering of the babies and the keeping of the young girls and all of that, if you had confronted me with that, like in the middle of a very, like, when I was my quote unquote strongest Christian, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that I would have gone, I don't, like, that's terrible. I don't know.
Right.
Like, at the most I would have said, I don't know. I wouldn't have just been like, well,
Yeah.
It's very weird to me, and I don't know. Maybe that's just the particular type of people we talk to on TikTok, the type that go into the spaces. But it was like, I'm just like, like, that's not that. I hope I wasn't like that when I was a Christian.
I know, right? And I don't know. And I mean, like, okay, I want to be honest about, and as I deconstruct, that's one of the things I want to be honest with myself about, that I probably was very much not a good person when I was a Christian in many ways. Like, for instance, when you realize that you grew up white in America or whatever, and you start to think about what that really means, that we all said things that I now know are very racist things to say. But because I grew up in a household that said those things like they were nothing, I didn't know they were bad.
I have the same thing.
Like, I have told this before. I did not know the short, and I'm not going to say the short word, just fucking use your imagination or Google it if you don't know what I mean, because I'm not going to say it. But I did not know that saying the short word for gypsy or calling certain people gypsies was racist. And so I used that terminology when I thought somebody had treated me unfairly in a financial deal. If you know what I mean, I said that word.
I used it as the verb too. Yep.
Yeah. And I also called people gypsies because I thought that gypsies just meant you were like eccentric, a person that roamed around and traveled. And I associated it with all these good things. But it doesn't change the fact that that is not how the word is used, that it is used in a very harmful way for a very specific group of people, and that word harms them, you know? And once I learned that, I'm not going to use that word anymore. But I grew up just thinking these things were normal. They were okay. Everything was okay. I had to be taught that I was wrong. I had to be taught, hey, Persephone, I had to be taught these things. And so I like to pretend that I was different, but I was probably not very different.
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to know, but I like to think at least it's like I would like to think that at least I would have said, maybe not.
I do think that on certain things like slavery and stuff, I would have said, and I really do, because I know other things were brought to my attention, right? I said the same thing we used to hear, like bitter truth and other people say all the time. Okay, well, let me go research that. And then I probably wouldn't have. I'm just being honest. But that's what I would have said to your face. I would have said, oh, I've never read that. Well, let me research it. Let me go, look this up myself.
Yeah.
I don't think I
get yourself out of it somehow.
Yeah. And then it would have bothered me really bad, and I would have sat in cognitive dissonance. I know I would have, because I sat in cognitive dissonance about many, many things in this religion. I've talked about before where I had been told that I could never be a pastor. And, but then I had another man pull me aside one time, like a church leader, right? And he told me, I know that people are going to tell you that you can't be a pastor, and they're going to use these verses and tell you that a woman shouldn't speak in church. And then he said, but that's just not true. That's not what they were talking about. And then, he did what many apologists do and say they were talking about that they were, talking in church when somebody else was trying to preach, and it was disruptive. And that's what he means, that they don't allow people to do that in church. But you should definitely be a pastor. And then that just confused me more, right? Because now I've got leaders telling me I can be a pastor and leaders telling me I can't be a pastor. And then I had to sit in all of that cognitive dissonance, I was like, wait, can I be? Can't I be? I don't know. You guys, if you are a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible, I want to talk today about how women were slaves in the Bible. They just were. A lot of times I hear people talking about slavery on this in a general sense, and they often just talk about the men, really, like, well, the men got set free and the men don't. Okay, well, the women didn't. And women were slaves to the Hebrews, even before they took slaves from other nations. And I just want to talk about that. I want to talk about how women are property in the Bible. Throughout the Bible, they are listed as property in the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, literally right there next to a slave. And a slave is definitely a piece of property. And a house and an ox.
And then I also have an Auntie sermon for you guys today. But I have to fix something in it really quick. Why can't I select? Okay. You guys, I have an Auntie sermon for you today. If you like, while we're waiting for guests, I'm going to go ahead and do that for you. This Auntie sermon is going to drop on my podcast, Auntie Sermons, a little later today. I just have to edit and upload it. I already recorded it. So this exact one will be on every platform a little bit later today. Check around, 7 or 8 o'clock tonight just to make sure. But it will be everywhere you listen to podcasts and everywhere you used to listen to sermons. So if you can, tap the screen, share out the live, and let's get going on the sermon. I'm going to plug my phone in just for good measure. Okay.
Yay, Auntie Sermon.
And this one is about Judith and Basemoth. I call it Ride or Die, okay? Genesis 26, 34 and 35. When Esau was 40 years old, he took as wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri, the Hittite, and Basemoth, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. They grieved Isaac's and Rebekah's spirits. Now, if you've been with me through these sermons, you already know what the text is doing here. We're given just enough information to place these women, not who they are, but where they come from. Judith, or Judith, daughter of Beeri, the Hittite, Basemoth, daughter of Elon, the Hittite. Now we don't get stories about Beeri or Elon. They don't show up with backstories or speeches or actions, but their names still matter because they locate these women inside a world. They are Hittites. Reckless, you want to come up? Which means they are part of the peoples already living in the land of Canaan long before Israel ever becomes a nation. And in the biblical imagination, the Hittites are not just neighbors. They are part of the surrounding cultures that worship different gods, follow different customs, and live outside the covenant that Abraham's family believes they are carrying forward. So when the text says Hittite, it's doing more than describing geography. It's signaling difference, cultural difference, religious difference, family difference. And if you've been following this story, you already know this family has been very intentional about that. Abraham did not want a wife for Isaac from the women of this land. He sent his servant away to find Rebekah from his own extended kin. So when Esau marries women who are specifically named as Hittite, this isn't just who they are. This is where they stand in relation to the family, not inside the line that has been carefully maintained, but connected to the land the family is living in. The text places them carefully. Their names and their meanings. Judith, Yehudit, means praised woman. It is a word tied to praise, thanksgiving, and acknowledgement. Now, this name deserves a little more attention because it is closely related to the name Judah. Yehudah, same root, same sound, same linguistic family. So how do we make sense of that? There are two main ways this gets understood. The first is the simplest. I'm sorry, my page won't scroll. This root, pronounced yada, already exists as a word. It means to praise, to give thanks, to acknowledge. So Yehudit can simply be a name built from that root, just like many names in the ancient world were built from common words. In that sense, her name does not depend on the person Judah at all. It just shares the same linguistic origin. The second possibility looks at the text differently because the story we are reading is set before Judah is even born. And yet here is a name that sounds like it belongs to a later identity. So some scholars suggest that this reflects the time the text was written or edited, that the writers already lived in a world where Judah meant something, a people, a region, an identity. And so names like Yehudit would feel natural to them, even if within the timeline of the story itself, the identity has not appeared yet. In other words, the story is set in one time, but the language reflects another. Biblical scholars often point out that Genesis preserves layers of tradition. Different memories, different tellings brought together into one narrative. And sometimes those layers show through in small details like names, where the world of the storyteller quietly overlaps with the world of the story. Either way, Judith's name carries the language of praise, a name shaped by gratitude, a name shaped by acknowledgement, a name that sounds like something spoken out loud and meant to be heard. Basemoth, Ba-set-math, meaning fragrance, perfume. It comes from a root that is connected to spices, sweetness, and scent. This is the language of presence you don't have to see, the kind that fills a room before you even notice it. Cinnamon, myrrh, incense. Something warm, something lingering, something that stays. These are names that carry beauty. Judith, something spoken, lifted, praised. Basemoth, something felt, sensed, breathed in. One you hear, one you experience. We meet them this way, through names that carry meaning, through names that carry presence, through names that invoke pleasant ideas. Rabbinic teaching. Now, when later interpreters come to this passage, they notice something. The names don't line up. Because later in Genesis 36, Esau's wives are listed again. Genesis 36, 2 through 3. Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan, Ada, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, Oholibama, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Basemoth, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebaioth. So now listen to that again in your head. Earlier we had Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite, Basemoth, daughter of Elon the Hittite, and now we have Ada, daughter of Elon the Hittite, Oholibama, daughter of Anah the Hivite, Basemoth, daughter of Ishmael. The names are different. The fathers are different. It doesn't read like a clean continuation. It reads like something shifted. So the question becomes, what do we do with that? And this is where rabbinic interpretation steps in. Some of the earliest Jewish interpreters don't jump straight to one clear answer. They wrestle with it. For example, in Genesis Rabbah, Esau's marriages are already treated as complicated and layered, not as a simple list you can line up neatly. Nachmanides Rabban points out that the names and identities don't match cleanly and suggests that different traditions may be sitting side by side in the text. Ibn Ezra is even more comfortable admitting that what we are looking at may be different records preserved together. So before anyone tries to smooth it out, there's already an awareness. Something here doesn't line up. And not everyone rushes to fix it. Some voices within the tradition simply acknowledge the complexity. They sit with it. They let the text be layered, which means that when we get to layer interpretations that try to make everything fit perfectly, that's not the only way this has been read. Even within rabbinic tradition, there was room to notice the tension and to let it stand. Rashi and a deep dive. I'll bring you up when I'm done with this sermon, okay? And then Rashi comes in and tries to make sense of the mess. His solution is simple on the surface. These are not different women. They are the same women. Their names just changed. But he doesn't stop there. He has to explain why the names changed. And this is where things shift, because now the names themselves become lessons. Basemoth, a name that carries fragrance, spice, something warm and beautiful, suddenly gets pulled into a chain of meaning. In the ancient world, fragrance wasn't just about smelling good, it was tied to ritual. Incense, spices, burning perfumes, these were used in worship. You see it all throughout the Bible. Incense is offered in temples. Fragrant smoke rises as part of religious practice. It marks sacred space. But, and this is the important part, it wasn't just used in Israel's worship. It was used in everybody's worship, other cultures, other peoples, other gods. So in the biblical mindset, especially later interpretation, incense becomes a signal, not just of worship, but of the wrong kind of worship, idolatry. So what Rashi does is take that step. Fragrance, incense. Incense, ritual. Ritual, foreign worship. Foreign worship, idolatry. And suddenly, her name is no longer just a name. It becomes evidence. Evidence of behavior, evidence of character, evidence of what kind of woman she must have been. And here's the problem. That is not coming from the text. The text does not say their names changed. The text does not say their names reflect moral failure. The text does not turn their names into accusations. Rashi does that. He takes something that is neutral, even beautiful, and bends it until it serves a lesson. And in doing so, he doesn't just solve a contradiction, he changes the women. Because for his solution to work, the names can't just be names anymore. They have to mean something about them. And when you look at how names change in the Bible, they are not handled like this. When Abram becomes Abraham, the text tells you. When Sarai becomes Sarah, the text tells you. When Jacob becomes Israel, the text tells you. And those changes come from God. They mark identity. They mark transformation. They mark covenant. They are not used to quietly imply moral failure. So for Rashi to say these women's names changed because of their behavior, that's not him reading the text. That's him building something the text never actually gives him. Because instead of letting the text be messy, he takes these women, their names, their identities, and reshapes them into a lesson. And in order to do that, he has to change them. My story. When one woman really does have three names. Now, to be fair to Rashi for just a minute, I do understand the instinct. Because sometimes one woman really can have more than one name. And I know that because it happened to me. Many years ago, over 30 years ago, I met my husband's family for the first time at Thanksgiving. And it was exactly what you would picture. A house full of people, football on the TV, food cooking in the kitchen, something in the crock pot, something in the oven, the whole house smelling warm and delicious, people laughing, people talking, people moving in and out of rooms. And there I was, nervous as hell, full of social anxiety, meeting my boyfriend's family for the first time. We had only been dating about a month. I was going through a divorce. I wasn't even sure how I felt about dating yet. So meeting the family, that was a big deal. At one point, I needed something, a glass of water, a drink, something. And Doug, my boyfriend at the time, said, just go ask Tony. She's in the kitchen. So I did. I went to the kitchen and I met my future sister-in-law, Tony. She got me what I needed. A little while later, I get sent back into the kitchen again. But this time they say, go ask Margot. And I'm thinking, I have no idea who Margot is. I haven't met Margot today. So I go into the kitchen, standing there is Tony. So I go back to Doug and I say, I don't see anybody in the kitchen but Tony. Where is Margot? And Doug starts laughing and he says, oh, I'm sorry, sweetheart. Tony is Margot. Apparently, Tony was a nickname she picked in high school. She and her friends wanted names that sounded masculine but could still be feminine. So she chose Tony with an I, but her name was Margot. So I said, okay. I went back in the kitchen, got what I needed, and kept going. Hours later, I get sent on another mission. Only this time they tell me, go get it from Elaine. Now I'm fully confused because I've not met Elaine all day. I don't know who the hell they're talking about. So I turn to Doug again and I say, I don't even know who Elaine is. And he just loses it because he finally realizes what he's been doing to me all day long. And he says, honey, Elaine is Tony. and Tony is Margot, and they're all the same person. You see, her real name is Elaine, but she goes by her middle name, Margot. And in high school, she picked up the nickname Tony. So when this family said Tony and Margot and Elaine, they were talking about the same woman, and that is how I met my sister-in-law. Now, here's why the story matters. Because this is the kind of thing Rashi wants us to imagine. One woman, multiple names, different people calling her different things. And to be honest, that part is not crazy. That actually happens. But here's the problem. In my story, the confusion got cleared up. Somebody explained it. Somebody connected the dots. There was a real person in a real kitchen with real people who knew exactly who she was. And nobody took her names and turned them into a moral lesson. Nobody said, well, this name means this, so she must be this kind of person. They were just names. Different names, same woman. That's the difference. If Genesis wanted us to know these were the same women, it could have told us. It could have connected the dots. It could have done what Doug finally did and said, honey, they are the same person. But it doesn't. Instead, later interpreters have to come in and do that work for the text. And in Rashi's case, he doesn't just explain the names, he starts assigning meaning to them. He starts turning them into evidence. And that's where I stopped buying what he's selling, because I know the difference. Because between a family using 3 names for one woman and someone showing up later trying to make a messy story behave. But here's the problem. The Bible does do name changes, but when it does, it means something. And it makes damn sure you know it means something. In Genesis 17, Abram becomes Abraham, and God says, why? I have made you the father of many nations. That's not casual. That's identity. That's destiny. That's a whole shift in who this man is supposed to be in the story. Same chapter, Sarai becomes Sarah. And again, God says why? There's a purpose in it. There's intention in it. There's weight behind it. And then Jacob, Genesis 32. He wrestles all night. He struggles. He refuses to let go. And out of that moment, he is renamed Israel. And the text tells you exactly why. For you have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed. That name is earned. That name is fought for. That name is tied to an experience that changes him. So when God changes a name in the Bible, it is not random. It is not subtle. It is not hidden. It is loud. It is intentional. It is meaningful. It marks something real. Now look at what Rashi is doing. He is asking you to believe that these women's names changed quietly. No moment, no explanation, no voice from God, no turning point in the story, just different names showing up. And somehow we're supposed to treat that the same way? No, that is not the same thing. Because when God changes a name, it's about transformation. When Rashi changes a name, it's about explanation. And more than that, it's about judgment. Because he doesn't just say, oh, they had different names. He says their names reflect who they were. He took Judith, a name rooted in praise. Praise, gratitude, acknowledgement, a name that should have been lifted up, spoken with honor, something beautiful in the mouth, and then Basameth, fragrant, perfume, spice, cinnamon in the air, myrrh, incense, the kind of scent that hits you. And suddenly you remember something, a kitchen, a holiday, a moment you didn't even realize you were holding on to until it came back. These are not empty names. These are not neutral. These are names that carry feeling, names that carry memory, names that carry something soft and human and lived in. And he takes that and he twists it. He takes praise and he turns it into suspicion. He takes fragrance and he turns it into accusation. He takes something that should have made you lean in and makes it something you're supposed to side-eye. That's the move. Not just explaining, not just interpreting, but reshaping. Taking something beautiful and making it carry something ugly. And that's not coming from the text, that's coming from him. And let's just say it plainly. Who is he to do that? Who is he to take women he has never met from a story that was written centuries before him and decide what kind of women they must have been, to take their names and turn them into accusations? Because you don't see this same energy applied across the board. You don't see men's names getting twisted like this to prove some hidden moral failure. With these women, their names get reworked, reinterpreted, repackaged until they fit the lesson he wants to teach. And that's the difference. God renames people to reveal something about them. Rashi renames these women to say something about them. God renames people to reveal something about them, and Rashi renames these women to say something about them. And those are not the same thing, not even close. Other rabbinic teaching. Not all rabbis agree with him. There isn't one clean, unified answer here. Some interpreters say these are different women, that Esau had multiple wives. And what we're seeing are different lists preserving different parts of the story. Others suggest there were simply more wives than any one passage records. That each section is giving you a partial view, not the whole picture. And then you have voices like Nachmanides, Rabban, who openly acknowledges that the names and identities don't line up clearly. He doesn't rush to flatten it. He points out the tension. He lets it sit there. And Ibn Ezra does something similar. He's willing to say in his own way that what we're looking at may be different traditions preserved together. Not a mistake to be erased, but a reality to be recognized. And that matters. Because it means that even with tradition, not everyone felt the need to fix this. Not everyone felt the need to force it into one clean answer. Some of them looked at the text and said, yeah, this is complicated. And I was talking to Justin, Deconstruction Zone, about this, and the way he put it was so simple. He said, you're looking at stories that have been stitched together. Different sources, different traditions. And at some point, someone stitched them together into one narrative. And when you stitch things together, sometimes the seams show. Sometimes the names don't line up. Sometimes the family connections don't line up because they weren't originally written as one single seamless story. They were stitched. And he pointed to another place where you can actually see the stitching. The story of Jacob and Esau. They reunite. They meet south of the Jabbok River on the east side of the Jordan. There's this emotional moment. They reconcile. They separate. Esau goes back to Edom, where he was already living. Jacob goes his own way. That story is complete. It flows. It makes sense. But then you get to Genesis 36, and suddenly the story feels like it jumped tracks. Because now it says that Jacob and Esau were dwelling together in the land, and that they had to separate because they had too many possessions. Which should sound familiar because that's Abraham and Lot. Too many possessions, not enough land. So they split. But here's the problem. That doesn't line up with what we already read. They had already separated. Esau was already in Edom. Jacob was already somewhere else. So why are they suddenly back together again? That's the scene. That's where you can see it. Two versions of the story, two traditions stitched together, and the stitching doesn't quite line up. So instead of one clean thread, you get overlap, you get repetition, you get moments that don't sit perfectly on top of each other. And that's not something you have to hide. That's something you can actually see. And now the whole situation with Esau's wives stops being confusing in the same way, because now you're not trying to force it into one perfect list. You're recognizing what you're looking at. Different traditions stitched together with the seams still showing. Christian and extra biblical teaching. Christian interpreters often try to do the same thing, harmonize, make it fit, say, these must be the same women with different names. You'll see this in traditional commentaries. For example, the Jameson Fawcett Brown commentary, a classic Christian source, treats the differences as something that can be explained by assuming alternate names, different names, same women, problem solved. And just like Rashi, the goal is the same. Make it one clean story. Make it make sense. No contradictions. No loose ends. But not all Christian scholars go that direction, especially more modern and critical scholars. They look at the same passages and they say, no, this isn't one clean list. These are different traditions preserved side by side, and they don't line up cleanly. And this is exactly what Justin, Deconstruction Zone, was getting at when he brought up the documentary hypothesis. The idea that Genesis isn't one single voice, but multiple sources, multiple traditions that were eventually stitched together. And when that happens, you get what scholars call doublets, two versions of a story, sometimes repeating, sometimes not lining up perfectly, but both preserved, not erased, not fixed, just sitting there together. You'll see this reflected in modern study Bibles like the New Oxford Annotated Bible, where the notes openly acknowledge the different traditions have been combined. And scholars like Richard Elliott Friedman point to passages like this as exactly what you would expect if multiple sources were brought together into one text. So even in Christian and academic spaces, you see the same split. Some try to harmonize it. Some say, no, this is layered. And once you understand what Justin was pointing to, you start to see it not just here, but all over the text. The contradiction. So what we have is this: a stable story. Esau had wives, but unstable details, names shift, father shifts. The story stays, the identities move, and at some point we have to be honest about what that is, because you can explain it. You can say it's different traditions. You can say it was stitched together. You can say it's a doublet. You can say it's transmission over time. You can say a lot of things. But no matter which explanation you land on, you are still explaining something. And what you're explaining is a contradiction. The details don't line up. They just don't. And calling it something else doesn't change that. It just explains why it happened. Christians will sometimes say, well, it's a scribal issue. Okay. But that doesn't actually solve the problem, because if the text is being presented as divinely inspired, then the expectation is consistency, not perfection in storytelling, but consistency in the details. And what we have here is a story that holds together, but details that don't. And that's all we're pointing out. Not trying to tear it down, not trying to mock it, just being honest about what's on the page. The crux, the bitter line. So at this point, we see the contradiction. We see that the names do not line up. We see that the fathers do not line up. We see that something in the text has been stitched, preserved, merged, or carried forward in more than one way. We've talked about it. We've acknowledged it, and that matters. But that is not where I want to stay today. Because if we stay there too long, the women disappear again. And I do not want to lose them inside the contradiction. I want to come back to this version of the story. I want to come back to the women. I want to stay with the names we were given here. And let these women stand in this text for a minute like they existed, like they were real people, like they were more than a problem somebody wrote down in one sentence. So with all of that in mind, I want to take you to one very specific part of this story, one very specific line, one very specific way the text wants you to feel about these women. They made life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah. And notice what just happened. We weren't told what they did. We weren't shown a moment. We weren't given a conversation. We weren't walked through a single scene. We were given a conclusion, a judgment, a feeling before we ever got a story. And that matters. Because when a text gives you the feeling first, it's telling you how to read everything that comes after. It's setting the tone. It's shaping your reaction. It's deciding for you. Before you've even had a chance to decide for yourself, and ask yourself this: bitter how? What did they do? What happened? What was said? What was the conflict? We don't know. We're not told. And that's the tension, because the text is not interested in showing you the moment. It is interested in giving you the label. And that label is doing a lot of work, because these women are Hittites. They are outsiders to this family. They are not part of the covenant line. They are connected to Esau, who in this narrative is already positioned as the one who steps outside the expectations of the family. So before you even get to know them, you are told how to feel about them. Before you hear their voice, you're given their reputation. Before you see their actions, you're handed the conclusion. They made life bitter. And now everything about them is filtered through that. That's the move. That's what the text is doing. Midrash about Isaac. So the question becomes, is there any reason these women would have been bitter? Is there anything in this family that might explain that tension? Because if we're going to sit with that label, if we're going to let it hang there, then we also have to ask, where is it coming from? And to answer that, we have to look deeper into the story, not just at the women, but at the house they married into, at Esau's family, at Isaac, at Rebekah. Because once you start looking there, things get a little more complicated. Now here's where it gets interesting. There is Midrash, and there are later teachings that suggest Isaac was not nearly as fooled as the plain reading makes him seem. That he knew more than the story lets on. That he may have understood exactly what was happening in his own house. And honestly, that makes sense to a lot of people, because this is a man who has lived with animals his whole life. He knows goat skins. He knows texture. He knows smell. He knows the difference between a man's body and an animal hide. And yet the story wants us to believe that Jacob put some skins on his arms and suddenly Isaac has no idea what's going on. A lot of readers have said, come on now, that doesn't pass the smell test. And it's not just the skin. Isaac hears the voice. He says to himself, the voice is Jacob's voice. So now we have voice saying one thing, hands saying another. And somehow we're supposed to believe Isaac just shrugs and gives away the blessing blind. That's why some traditions start pulling on the thread. They ask whether Isaac knew, whether he suspected, whether he was choosing not to stop it, whether he was playing his own role in a family drama that had already been building for years. And if that's true, then this story changes. Because then this is not just a story. Oh, sorry, I got to do a puzzle. Okay. Because then this is not just a story about one old man being tricked. This becomes a story about a whole family system that runs on silence, on favoritism, on manipulation, on everybody knowing more than they are saying. Rebekah knows. Jacob knows, and in this reading, Isaac knows too, which means Esau is not just dealing with one bad moment. He is living inside a family where things are being decided around him, about him, without him. A family where the blessing is not simply lost, it is managed, moved. Frankly, it is stolen. And if you marry into a family like that, if you are standing next to the son who got played, if you are watching this happen to your husband, then suddenly that line about bitterness starts sounding very different. Because now maybe the question is not, what was wrong with these women? Maybe the question is, what kind of family did they marry into? And what did they see there that the text never bothers to spell out? Here's my midrash. So now I want to ask a different question. What does it take to be labeled bitter in a family like that? Because we are never told what these women did, only who had a problem with them. And if you know this story, Isaac and Rebekah are not exactly neutral narrators. So here's what I see. Here's what I think the text is not being honest about. I think the writers want you to hate these women because they are Hittite, because they are tied to Esau, because Esau is being shaped into the antagonist of the story. These are outsiders. These are not our people. So before you ever get to know them, the narrative decides how you're supposed to feel. They made life bitter. Done. Case closed. Move on. But I'm not moving on. Because what I see is something I have seen over and over and over again in real life. These two women are fucking amazing. These two women are ride or die bitches for their husband. They see a man, Esau, who after everything that was done to him, still ran to his brother, still embraced him, still wept on his neck, still loved him. After that deception, after that manipulation, after the blessing was taken from him. And these women see that. They see his heart. They see his loyalty. They see the way he still shows up for family that did him dirty. And they are not having it. They're not going to play along with that system. They're not going to smile and nod and pretend everything is fine. They're not going to sit quietly while their husband gets treated like the expendable one. So yeah, maybe they were bitter. Maybe they spoke up. Maybe they pushed back. Maybe they didn't play nice. Maybe they saw right through Isaac and Rebecca's bullshit and refused to go along with it. Because let's be so for real. If you marry into a family like that and you love your husband, you're going to have something to say. And I bet every woman listening to this knows exactly what I'm talking about. You've been called difficult. You've been called too much. You've been called loud. You've been called a problem, especially if you deconstructed, especially if you've started asking questions, especially if you've stopped playing along. Because the moment you stop accepting the role they gave you, they label you. They don't ask what happened. They don't ask what you saw. They don't ask what pushed you there. They just say, she's bitter. And that's what I see here. I see two women who saw what was taken from their husband, who refused to pretend it was okay, who refused to bow down to a family system that had already decided who Esau was supposed to be. And because they didn't accept it, because they didn't stay quiet, because they didn't play their part, they got labeled. Not because we know what they did, but because we know who was telling the story. So are you seeing it now? Does that make sense? They weren't the problem. They were loyal. They were protective. They walked into that family and saw exactly what was happening. They saw the favoritism. They saw the manipulation. They saw the way one son was lifted up and the other one was managed. They saw their husband not as the one who messed up the story, but as the one who got the short end of it. And they chose a side, not the system, not the narrative, their husband. And that matters because that kind of loyalty, that kind of clarity, that kind of refusal to play along, that doesn't make you easy. That makes you the problem. At least to the people who benefit from you staying quiet. Because sometimes the story doesn't tell you what someone did. It just tells you how they are described. And I don't know about you, but I've learned to be a little careful when the only thing we know about a woman is what someone else called her. So let's come back to them. Let's say their names again. Judith, Yudi, Basima, praise, fragrance. If you could call out from the pages of this text, if they could call out from the pages of this text, I don't think they would say they were bitter. I think they would say, we saw what happened. We loved our husband. We stood up for our family. We didn't play their games. We didn't stay quiet and we didn't bow down. And for that, you labeled us. You made us a moral lesson. You took what was once fragrant, what was once praiseworthy, and you turned it into something foul. But the truth is, you can try to spin the story. You can try to control how we are remembered, but we were never the problem. We were just two ride or die women. And the scent of a love like that is praiseworthy. And that's today's Auntie Sermon.
Clap, 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 clap. Woohoo!
I'm going to bring, if they're still here, I'm going to bring somebody up. Somebody wanted to come up, but I don't bring people up in the middle of their sermon, except friendlies can come up. Hey, Reckless, how are you today?
There we are. Okay. I had a little glitch in my internet and it took like a couple times to be brought up, but I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good.
Oh, another I love those astronauts. They're so cute.
Those are so cute, huh? I left them up for my birthday. I forgot I had them up there. But thank you, Jesse, for the gifts. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. That means a lot coming from you. That is going to be on the podcast later today. I just have to edit it and get it up. But yeah, I will get to the other wives later in Genesis. So they come a few sermons down the road. But thank you. Thank you so much, Creative. If any of you guys want to come up and talk about it, have questions about it, hey, then come on up. Let's discuss. But if you are a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible and you want to talk about my topic today, that women were slaves in the Bible. That's just what they were. You can throw Ruth at me, I guess, and we'll argue that there was a few women that weren't. But primarily, women were slaves in the Bible. That's our discussion today. Biblical. I see you. I miss you.
I certainly wouldn't choose to be a woman in the Bible.
But have you heard of Deborah? Which one?
Oh my God, yes, the Deborah.
There is a Deborah that is a maid. Do you guys know that? We do a sermon on her too. I didn't know that till I did the sermon, to be honest with you. I only knew about the one Deborah.
I know. I was thinking whenever you first started these, I was like, I don't know hardly any women's names at all.
I didn't either. And that made me so sad because it was like, why did I allow this religion to teach me all about the men and never ask about the women? Why didn't I ask about the women more? It made me mad at myself.
Right. It's like, and that's another thing.
You guys want to see some cool books that my kids got me in Sedona?
Absolutely.
I went to a little cool bookstore. I got Ozark Magic and Folklore. Doesn't that sound cool? Have any of you ever been to the Ozarks?
I have not.
It's pretty cool. I do like the Ozarks. I mean, yeah. It's still the Bible Belt area, but the land itself is very pretty and stuff. But the Ozark region of Missouri and Arkansas has been an enclave of resistance to innovation and newfangled ideas. Many of the old-time superstitions and customs have been nurtured and kept alive through the area's relative isolation and the strong attachment of the hill folk to these old attitudes. Though modern science and education have been making important inroads in the last few decades, the region is still a fertile source of quaint ideas, observances, and traditions. Anyway, it's all about, like the supernatural, shit that people believe in the Ozarks. I thought that would be interesting. And then this one just sounds so good. It's called The Myth of the Ritual Murder, Jews and Magic in Reformation Germany.
That's awfully specific.
Right? That is so specific. What?
It's a whole book.
It's a whole book. Who knew? I didn't even know any of this. I didn't know this was a thing. Who knew that there was ritual murder going on in Reformation Germany? Hey, Creative, how are you?
I'm good, Crystal. How are you?
Good.
Good. I landed on my elbow and forearm today. Fell over. I slipped. If somebody saw me, it would have been like a cartoon. I slipped, back, and I tried to catch myself on a piece of furniture that had stuff on it, and the whole thing flipped over, and I landed on the ground.
Oh,
So.
no.
I seem to be okay. My arm is moving. It's painful, but not like so. But yeah, that was
I'm
not
sorry.
It's okay. Stuff happens, right?
Yeah, but hopefully you'll feel better soon. Hey, LG, good to see you. Welcome in, Yellow Bright. Well, maybe we'll get some Christians in today. All I had was an asshole today who thinks it's okay to laugh at people who have, single moms who lose their house.
Oh yeah, I was there who was asking you about if you found it funny when certain people get unalived, and I was like listening to you, and I was like, no, I like people losing their life is not funny.
It's weird to me.
No.
Yeah, and it's like if it's people be like, oh well, would you, if something terrible happened to like a despot, would you be upset? And I'm like, are we comparing her to a dictator?
Was that Home Slice by chance?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he was in my live last night and just being an absolute. I ended up blocking him. It's like, no, we're not gonna fucking do that shit.
No.
I can understand feeling relief in certain situations that somebody was unalived, or understanding that it's probably for the better of other people. But the sadness of it getting to a point where that happens, just, I don't understand. Like, there's no, yeah.
I want to be really clear about something, because I've said this before in the past, and I'll say this again, and I will always be honest about this. There are two people in this world that when they pass away, there's a song from a movie called Scrooge, not Scrooged with Bill Murray, but Scrooge from the 1970s. In it, when Scrooge dies, his nephew takes the book where he's keeping all the debts to everybody, and he starts dancing in the streets, tearing up the book because, he's tearing up everybody's debts. And he sings a song, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. Anyway, I will be dancing and singing that song when these two people pass away. I will. One is my abuser, and one is Donald Trump. I will. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to dance in the streets. Those people have harmed people. Those people have seriously harmed people, never shown remorse for it. They do more damage than good. And if you are fucking comparing a single mom who's never done a fucking shitty thing to you in your life to an abuser and the orange fucking fungus that is sitting in the White House right now, you have no morals. You don't get to speak. You don't get to, I don't care about your opinion, because those are not the same things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Valid. And even then, like, it was what he was saying was like this, like, finding it, funny, like it's something that's amusing. It's not the same thing of like rejoicing because this is going to make things better. Or like, that's
the torture is going to end. The people are going to actually, people's torture that he is causing is going to finally end. Because of
exactly.
This. Much different. I am going to be happy because they won't be able to harm people anymore. Hey, Charles, did you want to come up? I have lots of tips on deconstructing. One of the first things is, if you want, you can join my Discord. There's a lot of people on the Discord from the deconstruction community. It's a quiet Discord. We, there's not a lot of action going on every day in there, but we do some fun things. We play Dungeons and Dragons once a month, and we have a little science page in there. We've got music in there. We've got all the Auntie Sermons information is in there, but we also have a Hebrew class. I'm gonna have to try to fix the Hebrew class though. It's been hard for us to get together on Fridays like we originally planned. So I need to figure something out there. But a lot of people in there that are there to support you. Hi, Caprice. Welcome to the show. Can I get your age for TikTok purposes?
Yes, 26.
Are you a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible?
Yes, I'm a believer in Jesus.
Okay. Well, women were slaves in the Bible. What do you think about that?
I do believe there were women that were slaves in the Bible as well as men.
Yes, but women were sold by their own fathers in the Bible.
Is this the Old Testament?
Yes, it is the Old Testament. Do you not believe in the Old Testament, or do you believe in the whole?
No, I do believe in the Old Testament. It's not that I'm disregarding it. It's just that.
But Christians do that all the time. They go, "Is that in the Old Testament?" Because I don't have to follow that. Yes, you do. You have to follow that.
Yeah, like it's important. It can't be disregarded, but there's a lot in the Old Testament and the way it's written and the way it operates that it's not that the Lord himself is saying, sell your daughter.
Yes, he is. God said that whatever Moses said, you're going to believe for an eternity. Jesus said that if you believe Moses, you believe him. So if you don't believe Moses, you don't believe Jesus. So yes, God said it through Moses.
Okay, can you pull up the verse where God said it through Moses?
The one where fathers can sell their daughters?
Yeah. There was things that Moses did though that God didn't agree with. There was things that there was a lot of things that Moses did that he didn't get it. Moses didn't get into the promised land, so Moses wasn't perfect.
That's fine. Moses wasn't perfect. It doesn't change the fact that God said that Moses was his main man and you don't have a right to question him. When Miriam and Aaron questioned him, he gave Miriam leprosy and told her to shut the fuck up. You don't get to question Moses. Do you want leprosy? I want to question.
You used the F word. Sorry, sis.
If you guys could have handled it, but a lot of times believers can't handle curse words, so God,
I'm just, it usually helps just with when you quote the scripture though, like not like, he told him to shut the F up. Like, I don't know what he actually said.
21:7, when a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. That's in Exodus. That's Moses. That's God.
I have a unique perspective on the Old Testament, and like I could get labeled as a heretic for this.
Say one that every Christian has. Go ahead and tell me, and let's see if it's unique. What's your perspective?
Well, after Jesus, he died and he rose again. This is what I believe. We were given the gift of the Holy Spirit indwelling after that. So when people were writing the Old Testament, this was pre-Holy Spirit indwelling in these people.
What do you think Shekinah is?
What was that?
The Holy Spirit lived on the earth during the Old Testament. There is no Trinity. There is no Jesus without the Old Testament. The Holy Spirit is Shekinah.
So you believe in the Holy Spirit?
No, I believe that if you are going to believe the story, you have to believe the way it was written. And in the Old Testament, the Holy Spirit is Shekinah.
Yeah. So it wasn't only women slaves though. This is my point. Like this,
I don't care. I'm talking
women.
about women today because men come up here all the time and say that women were treated equally in the Bible, and they weren't. You were listed as property in the 10 Commandments. You are not a human in the 10 Commandments. You are a piece of property, Caprice.
I do think there was a unique way of operating in the Old Testament, but I believe that's why Jesus Christ came in the flesh.
And so that's why Jesus told people, slaves, to obey their masters?
That was Paul that wrote that.
No, Jesus tells you to too.
Does he? So there's a verse that's my favorite. It's Galatians 3:28, and it says, "There's no Jew nor Gentile, slave nor free, male nor female." So this is like we're all equal and we're all one in Christ Jesus.
That's what Paul said. Good,
Yes.
good for you. You worship Paul, so just say Paul is my Lord.
No,
and
that's a
Savior.
beautiful message. I
Right,
do
but
believe Paul had the
not
Holy
by
Spirit.
Jesus. Jesus never said that. Paul was, to me, Paul was a heretic. He went completely against the things that Jesus said.
Well, do you think do you think God only belongs to the Jews then? Because Paul is the main
Yes.
one that ministered to
Jesus
the
said,
Gentiles.
I only came for the lost sheep of Israel.
Yes, but he
And
still healed.
he even told the disciples, don't even go out to the Gentiles.
He still healed that woman, and he still revealed himself as Messiah
After
and said,
she
drink
called
from my...
herself a bitch.
Can
After
you
she called herself a
please
bitch.
don't interrupt me? I would like the opportunity
You've
to speak.
interrupted me several times. Why can't I interrupt you?
I'm trying to be gentle, and I'm trying to just get my words out to
You don't
get
have
my
to be
point
gentle.
across.
It's okay. I can handle
I
it.
am making a good point, though. He did say to the woman that wasn't a lost sheep of Israel at the well, he revealed himself as the Messiah. That's the first time he did that. And he said, if you take this cup, my cup, and drink from it, you will have eternal life.
She was an Israelite.
No, she wasn't. She was a
Yes, she was.
Samaritan.
No, a Samaritan is an Israelite.
12 tribes of Judah.
Samaria was
Judah, Samaria. Well, he also healed a Canaanite woman.
No, you can't change the subject. You just made a comment. I corrected you on
Okay,
it.
but
You're
I'm
not
making
even
a
going to
good
acknowledge it. You're not even going to apologize and say, oh, okay, I guess you're right. He, again, only serviced an Israelite.
Okay, I'm sorry.
First.
But no, what about the Canaanite woman? What about the Canaanite?
Wait. We're going to stay on her for a second. He body shames her first, okay? Not body shames. He slut shames her at the well. And in case you didn't know, you can run, but it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to hear the story anyway. But you shouldn't run. You should sit and listen and learn something. Don't allow this religion to subjugate you.
Mm-hmm.
He went to that well, and a well was a very, very busy place. And he made sure that everybody knew that this woman had been married 5 different times. There was no need to bring that up other than to shame her in front of everybody. And being a Samaritan, she was an Israelite. So he still was helping people from Israel.
Do you think it's good to have 7 husbands?
That was the law back then. If your husband
Do you think
died,
it's bad?
Excuse me, just for 1 second.
I don't think it's beneficial.
Excuse me, just for 1 second. That was the fucking law that your God gave, that when her husband died, she had to marry his brother. So as far as we know, she married the men because they were the brother of her original husband. You don't know why she had 5 husbands. But why is it okay for the men in the Bible to have several wives? And how misogynistic of you.
Okay, if he didn't care about...
Of you. Why do you hate yourself?
You're being very aggressive towards me, and I'm not being aggressive towards you.
I don't care. Why are you saying such a thing about a woman?
I'm not. You're putting words in my mouth.
No, you're being misogynistic.
You're gaslighting me. It's not going to work.
What?
You're putting words in my mouth.
Where did I gaslight you? Tell me where I gaslight you.
I never said anything misogynistic. I never said anything about the woman at the well.
You said, isn't it bad that she had 7 husbands or something like that? But at the same time, you're okay.
I wouldn't recommend a man having 7 wives either.
No, you're okay with it because God said it was okay.
No, I'm not okay with a man or a woman having...
That's what God says.
Okay. All right. Do you determine...
Go ahead, Lade, did you want to say something to her? I'm sorry. I'm taking too much of the conversation.
No, I was just wondering, do you think having 7 husbands is a bad thing?
I don't think it's a good thing. I think that, 1 husband is enough.
So you think it's a bad thing to have been married 7 times?
To have been married 7 times? She had multiple husbands at once.
No, she didn't. That's not true.
Yeah.
Okay, where's the proof?
She had been married 7 times.
Where is the proof in that?
We'll read it.
It's in the verse. That's what it says in the verse. It doesn't say she had 7 husbands. If she had 7 husbands, she wouldn't be going to the well.
You know, God also doesn't advocate for several wives either.
It says You have had 5 husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband. So he is saying that they are not all married right now. She doesn't have them right now. She had them in the past, and it doesn't tell you why. And more than likely, it's because of the law at the time where she had to marry the brothers. Creative, I'm sorry, go ahead.
More than likely, though, is the key word that you just used. More than likely. Do you want 7 husbands?
We don't know why, and it's 5. Would you quit saying 7? It's 5, okay? And
Okay,
second of
do
all,
you
she
want
does not
multiple
have them at the
husbands?
same
Is that
time
why?
because I just read it. So you were wrong, and you won't admit it again. This is the second time I've proven you wrong, and you just ignore it. Now I'm gonna let Creative talk. Creative, go ahead.
Yeah, you were saying that God doesn't say that you can have like 7 wives. How many wives did Solomon have?
He never
I'm
said
pretty
to
su-
do that.
So he wasn't doing what God wants. He's one of like God's most
No,
important people,
no.
and no.
Solomon
Well,
fell.
it's in
God does
it's
say
in
you can
his.
have multiple wives. It's in the Bible. It's
Solomon's
in-
multiple wives led him into paganism.
Who gave David multiple wives, Caprice? Who gave them to him?
Can you read me the verse? Because it sounds like you know.
Yeah, it was God. And God tells you in
The verse.
Exodus, I will get to it. And God tells you in Exodus that you can have multiple wives as long as you can financially afford them. So I'm so tired of you saying that these things aren't in here. You don't have any knowledge about what's in
I
your
didn't
book.
say they're not in there, but I don't believe it's the way you're interpreting
God
it.
did not say this. He did.
I'm not saying that. I just believe that the scripture can be twisted.
It's not twisted. God said to Nathan, God said to David through Nathan, I gave you your master's house and your master's wives. God said that. I gave him to you. So he does not care that people have multiple wives.
Okay. But do you think it could be to take care of them because of the times that they were in?
No,
Because of the way it was all operating.
That's just a lie men have told you that you have fallen for. Maybe you need to learn about Rebecca's mother and how when Rebecca was met at the well, she ran to her mother's house and her mother negotiated the wedding with Jewel, where she received the gifts. No daddy around, no husband to be seen. Rebecca's mother had a house. Rebecca's mother negotiated the marriage.
I know Jesus Christ loves women and he healed the Canaanite's daughter.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Why did he heal the Canaanite's daughter if he only came for the house of Israel?
After she called herself a bitch. After she admitted she's nothing but a dog.
No, he said you have faith. Your faith in me.
Yeah,
She never said I'm nothing but a dog.
After she groveled. Yes, she did.
He called her a dog, and then she basically
I know
says,
what
"But
you're
even
talking about,
hey, yeah, he calls her a dog." And she then
believe
says,
that's
but
a
even the
reference
dogs
to the
deserve it. And
type
that's
of-
why all of a sudden he's like, oh, yeah, well, I guess.
So the Canaanites religiously, they were sacrificing babies to Moloch and Asherah and all of that.
That is not in the Bible. Again, you just listen
It
to
is
what
in the
men
Bible.
tell you. No, it's not. Tell me the Bible verse right now.
Okay.
Where did the Canaanites sacrifice babies to Moloch?
Crystal, just really quickly, I wanted to point out to you, and then I'll drop again and let you beautiful women handle this. I just wanted to point out that when David took Bathsheba and God got really mad at him, God was like, why didn't you just ask me for more women if you wanted more women? God was completely okay with the fact that men had multiple wives and concubines. I'm not sure where her arguments are coming from, but there are passages within the Bible where God specifically says, hey, yeah, you can have more wives, just ask.
In Exodus 22. I'm sorry, go ahead, Liz.
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to say there's also that passage that talks about where the priests cannot have multiple wives. Well, why did he specify only people in clergy can not have multiple wives? Shouldn't it be nobody can? It seems weird that you would specify only these men cannot have multiple wives, but we wouldn't just make that a blanket statement.
Ray J, I haven't cherry picked one verse. I have made claims, and she's asked me to show her where those verses are.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing what she asked. Now she has made a claim, and I'm asking her to show me where that verse is.
I've got it.
So
Can I
that's
say
what
it?
Go
Can I
ahead.
please?
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you're aware, Caprice, but when you leave the app, we can't actually hear you in that time.
If
So I
you
don't know if
just
you
Thank
can.
you.
chapter and verse, I can pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really crappy
Thank you.
spelling.
Leviticus 18:21. They were in the land of Canaan, and the Canaanites worshipped Moloch, Baal, and Asherah. And it
So
says, do
It
not
doesn't say
give.
that. That is not what this verse says. It
It
says,
says,
do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Moloch. It doesn't say that the Canaanites were doing it. And second of all, do you know that we have found archaeological proof that Moloch isn't actually a god, but a type of sacrifice? So they didn't even know what they were talking about when they said that. Nick, what did you want to say?
yeah, I'm just gonna add to that. So we do have, like Crystal said, we have archaeological evidence that Moloch was a mistranslation. It was a type of sacrifice, and basically it means you can't burn anybody alive. So
Okay.
God had a very specific set of rules for human sacrifice, and that was to
Yeah.
slit throats, splatter blood around the altar, and then burn it.
Okay.
Moloch was simply burning alive, which God admits that he did with his own people. He was
So
also committing infanticide.
does it say in the Bible that to commit Moloch with me to the Israelites? Because for some reason, the only chapter I'm seeing is in the land of Canaan. They specifically get told, do not sacrifice your kids to Moloch. So even if it is that ritual, why only in the land of Canaan? Is God feeling the need to say that to the
Because they
Israelites
were
if it wasn't a
Canaanites.
part of the Canaanite ritual?
They were, the Israelites were Canaanites. So the Israelites were a mixture of Babylonians and Canaanites. They were Canaanites.
Okay. Guys, I just want to say, like, I haven't come on here to debate or anything, but my heart is sad because I know Jesus loves women. And I'm sad
Please
that
stop.
you think
It's
God
sad
hates
that
women.
you think that Jesus loves women. It makes me
I
sad
do.
that you are in a religion that is based on mythology and misogyny. It makes me sad that you're probably going to have babies and you're going to teach them to allow this religion to continue to be misogynistic and allow women to be harmed by it. It makes me very sad that you would do that as a woman.
You know, look, I just want to tell a bit of my story, right? I've been in multiple abusive relationships, okay?
I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, so I know what it's like to be harmed by men. I know what it's like to be in a zone of going, F the patriarchy, all of that, right? But
Yeah.
I will say this is the best I have ever felt in my life knowing Jesus. So I wouldn't put myself in a situation where I believe God is a
This is
narcissist.
the best I've ever felt since leaving the church, where I no longer have men telling me that I need to shut up or that I need to dress. Did you know that the Bible never fucking tells women to dress more modestly? That it tells men, if you can't fucking handle it, dig your goddamn eyeball out of your head.
Exactly.
Why aren't there more men
Jesus
who are
loved
blind?
women. He told them to gouge their eyes out.
Why aren't there more blind men in your religion? Why are men telling you to cover up all the time? Why?
I agree.
Answer the question. No, don't say you agree. Tell me why.
Why they're not gouging their eyes out?
Yes, why aren't they? Why are they telling you to cover up and meanwhile they're not gouging their eyes out?
Maybe they're not listening to Jesus because Jesus is the one that said to gouge their eyes out, which means he loved women.
No, it doesn't mean he loved women.
That's an example of his love for women.
No, it's an example of one thing he said. He also used women to financially support him during his entire ministry. He took a bottle of oil and allowed them to pour it over him instead of feeding the hungry, because you know what he said? He said, you're always going to have hungry people because I never intend to fucking fix that problem. I'm never going to solve world hunger. You are going to have hungry people forever, but I'm not going to be here forever. So waste that perfume on me instead of feeding people. He was a narcissist. He didn't give a shit about women. He used them.
Caprice, can I ask a question? Like, do you think that, so, you know, let's say you have a partner or a male in your life, right? And
Yeah.
they do like one or two positive things, but then they also do one like negative thing that seems to outweigh those positive things. Do you consider that man good or bad?
I don't.
Like overall? Like, let's
I
say, you know, he does all the right things, right? He takes you out, he opens car doors, he you know, buys you whatever you want. There's no question, right? Whatever. He
Yeah.
treats you like a fucking queen, right? But he also, in his past relationship, essayed his last girlfriend.
Oh, that would be a deal breaker for me.
So I think that's the difference here, right? Like, yes, there are some great things that this man, Jesus, said, right? We don't disagree with that. I think everybody here would agree that there are some good things, but there are also some bad things. And for us, those bad things outweigh any of the positive things. An example I like to bring up is everybody talks about Jim Jones, right? He was a terrible person. He did horrible things, but I like to use it as an example of what we're talking about with either God or Jesus, because actually before the cult and everything, he was one of the most important people in helping the Black community that he was in rise and become, as much as they could at that time, at level with the white population in his area. He helped pay old women's bills because they were going to have their power shut off. He,
Who is this
you
we're
know,
talking
fed
about?
these
Sorry.
people. Jim Jones
Okay. I've never
of
heard of
Jonestown.
him.
I would look him up. He was a cult leader. And if you've ever heard the term drink the Kool-Aid, it's because of him, because he made all of his people drink this drink that had like cyanide, or I don't remember, in it, to unalive them all, because they believed that, you know, he was the next coming, or there's multiple versions, but before that, he was an amazing leader in his community and really actually like fully changed the dynamic of his area in Indiana that he lived, to help the Black community rise up. So yes, he did amazing things, but then he went on to do all these really shitty things. And we overall as a community, as people say, hey, he's actually a POS, right? Because he did that and he literally made all of these people unalive themselves. This is the same type of thing here. You know, like there are positive things and there are negative things. And we're saying all those negative things outweigh any of the positives at this point.
I
Before
appreciate.
hang on one second. Creative, and then Alyssa, I want to say something real quick. Creative, you were first.
It was a little bit just to add in the same type of situation. My grandmother grew up in Germany under the little mustache man. She was not in a family who supported that at all, but was there when that happened. What she used to tell me and remembers is it wasn't this obvious kind of, what she remembers younger, like about him is this, oh, they were promoting us to be healthy, to go do sports. They took us out to the country and like taught us about our country. That's what she remembers from it, the innocent side of it. People mention that this little mustache man is why the Germany has so many great highways right now. But I'm pretty sure my grandmother, I know my grandmother was not happy to have that person in power and would not want him to be back in power for the little few good things that came out of him being in power.
Alyssa, you wanted to say something real quick?
Yes, I am 20 years old. I'm a she, her. Just wanted to let that out.
Thank you.
So, Cap Price. So I just wanted to say that you're saying that Jesus respected women, but he never respected the Canaanite woman that he called a dog.
I believe he was referring to the religion she was practicing.
But you realize during that time it was considered a slur, right?
Yes. I do
So
believe
you're
sometimes
okay with a God who is supposed to be all loving using a racial slur to a woman just because he didn't like who she was worshiping.
I don't believe it was
a
racial.
God who is all it was, by the way. It's very racial. It's only done to Gentiles, and the king, and him saying that to her is because she is a Gentile.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Can I just speak?
You can
for a second?
pretend.
I just want to say,
but
guys,
when you lie, you only lie to yourself. Nobody in my chat falls for it. Nobody up here falls for it. Okay. So when you say, hey, quit doing that.
I can't get a word in.
I don't, you know what? You will in just a second, but you're not going to get one in and go, hey.
I know, but your energy coming towards me is a lot right now.
I do not give a fuck if you don't like my energy.
You're
Shut
very
up.
aggressive.
Let me finish. I do not
These
give
are
a
the
fuck if you
fruits,
become aggressive. Shush. Let me finish. I do not care if you want to pretend in your head that Jesus was not saying a racial slur. He was. It was used throughout the Old Testament and New Testament as a racial slur. It is still used to this day as a slur. Now you may speak.
I just want to say that I appreciate all you women looking out for narcissists and narcissistic behavior. I have also questioned before, this sounds quite narcissistic sometimes. I have questioned it. But a lot of these things are also being taken out of context, which is why I am also speaking, like, for instance, when the woman perfumed Jesus's head, that used to be in the Old Testament. 3 days, that was 3 days before his crucifixion. That is what they would do. Can I please speak? Do not interrupt me, please. So they used to anoint the lamb in the same way, in the same time span.
You're telling
in the
me
Old
why?
Testament.
And I'm telling you, I don't care why he did it if he is an all-loving God. You are trying to tell me that Jesus was a God and that he was all loving. And then when a disciple pointed out that people were starving and could use that money to buy food for hungry people, Jesus said, waste the perfume instead on me instead of feeding hungry people. That
Do you
is
not remember
loving.
how he fed the
Not a
5,000?
fucking thing loving about that. You're interrupting me now, and I am not going to let you. It is not loving for an all-loving God to say, pour that perfume all over me, even though I'm not actually going to die. I'm just going to take a little 3-day nap. And fuck those hungry people. Nick, I think you had your hand raised.
So really quickly, a sin sacrifice can't be anointed as per the Old Testament sin sacrifice laws. But I wanted to point out when it comes to him using the slur dog, he actually did it before as well. He says, you should not feed the crumbs to the dogs. He already had it in his head that these people were lesser than the Israelites. It was a form of supremacy. He said multiple times, I have come only for the lost sheep of Israel. And when he sent his disciples on their mission, he said, stay away from the Gentiles and Samaritans. They were lesser people to them. So when you have the claim of an all-loving God who has come down to, quote, save everyone, but you're also at the same time seeing a racial bias between tribes, there's a huge problem. The fact that someone who would be, quote, perfect would not be using derogatory slurs in the first place a slur is a slur is a slur. In fact, today, if you go to the Middle East or India, places like that, you call somebody a dog, you're going to get your back end beat because it's still a slur today.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that it is some kind of slur. But Jesus Christ did say when he rose again from the dead to his apostles, go preach the message to the Gentiles.
Why are you ignoring the fact that your supposed perfect God used a slur? You cannot be perfect in using slurs.
I accepted it, but I do believe he deserves. If anyone can use a slur, it is him.
Okay, well then he's not perfect. Then he's not perfect.
He's a piece of shit. Then
yeah, then he's not all loving. You cannot claim he's all loving if he's using slurs.
Hey, if I was doing something terribly wrong, I want someone to call me a bitch for that, to be honest.
So if I called you
bitch to women right now,
wasn't doing anything wrong.
I'm not, honey. I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're being a bitch to women. You said you wanted me to do it. I'm doing it.
You're being aggressive towards me. I'm being nice.
You're being a bitch by saying it's okay for a god to call a woman a bitch. You're being a bitch.
Okay, well, you have every right to call me a bitch, but I don't think I'm being a bitch.
You kind of are. You're batting for men here, and you're batting for a racist.
Not. He says there's no Jew nor Gentile, slave nor free, male nor female.
No?
We are all one in Christ Jesus.
Can I ask
we
a
are
quick
all
question?
one in Christ Jesus.
Why do you think in that phrase that he separates slaves from male and female? Why not just say male and female? Because that would include the slaves.
He doesn't.
Right?
He says there's no male nor female, slave nor free, Jew nor Gentile. We are all one in Christ Jesus.
Why does he need to say, though, does he need to separate slave?
And by the way, that's Paul. That's not Jesus. So shut the fuck up.
Hey, don't hate on Paul. Paul's very kind to us.
Most of Paul's works are pseudepigrapha. They're not even written by him. We don't even fucking know if he existed. He never teaches with Jesus. Jesus says one thing, Paul says another. If you worship Paul, just fucking say, I worship Paul. I don't like what Jesus said.
I don't worship Paul.
You do, Nick.
No, I don't. That Crystal had brought up a quote from Paul, and then you said, well, that was Paul. Like, it only it has to work all the right. I agree that the quote that Crystal had brought up earlier was from Paul, but so
I'm
is
being
this
honest.
So why,
would you rather me say Jesus said it?
Would you listen
Hold on, you're
to
not You're not though, because when Crystal brought up a quote that you didn't want to agree with, you said, "Well, that was Paul. That wasn't Jesus." And now, you're saying that, like, what you're saying is, I don't listen to Paul. Like, I only listen to Jesus, not Paul, right? So I'm not going to listen to that.
No, I'm just clarifying.
But now, when you are bringing up something that was from Paul, we do have to accept it. But we don't. What we're saying is, no, that was Paul. That wasn't Jesus. We're doing the same thing that you did.
Okay, I believe there's been a misunderstanding, so I'm just going to clarify. I was just clarifying it was Paul because she was saying, your God said this. And I said, no, Paul wrote that. That wasn't the Lord talking.
No, I didn't. That's not when I said that. That was later when I was talking about
Okay, well, I thought you said that.
No. Anyway, you only like Paul when he says what you want him to say. And when he goes against what you say, you don't like him so much anymore.
Okay, well, I know Jesus as God.
Good.
So that's the only reason why I'm here. And I know he loves women.
No, he doesn't. You haven't proven that at all.
Well, I'm sorry that you think that.
Oh, Cap, you say Jesus is God, correct?
Yes.
How do you pronounce your name, host? I'm very dyslexic. I apologize.
Crystal. You can just call me Crystal.
Okay, awesome. So is it okay if I read a verse?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no, it's on my phone. Hold on 1 second.
Hello, everybody over on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in today. It's good to see everybody. If you're not following me over on YouTube, please do so. I'd really appreciate it. Also, thank you so much for 16,000 likes, but I've been live for almost 2 hours now. What the fuck? Can we get those likes up, please? Also, I do have a gift goal today. So if you'd like to contribute, you can. there are many ways to support the show, so make sure you check out the link in my bio. I now have a tiny gallery, so if you like tiny artwork and you want to support the podcast or the show, you can do so. And make sure that you are following me wherever you subscribe to podcasts on Auntie Sermons, AUNTIE, Auntie Sermons, or Auntie Sermons, however you say that. Yeah, make sure you go subscribe to my podcast.
Okay, I got the verse. So I'm going to read the verse to you, Cap, and I'm going to ask you, does your Jesus is God, respect these women, okay? It says here, a day of the Lord is coming, Jerusalem, when your possessions will be plundered and divided up in your very walls. I will gather up all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it, and the city will be captured, the houses ransacked, and the women raped. Half of the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people will not be taken from the city. So in this verse, does Jesus respect women in this verse, Cap?
Is that, what verse is that, did you say?
It's Zechariah 14:1 through 2.
Yeah, and that's okay. So that's a prophecy.
I understand that, but does Jesus here respect the women here?
It's not that he's not respecting them, but he's prophesying.
But he
what
could
will
have
happen.
said then the woman will be saved, but it says the woman will be raped. Why is that?
Well, we know that rape happens today, right? So if someone were to say this is going to happen, that doesn't mean that he wants it to happen.
I mean, who's I there? Who's I?
Can you read that part again to me? The I.
It says on here, I will gather all the nations. Who's I in that verse?
Yeah, he will gather the nations. Him.
Yeah, that's him doing it. He's saying that this is gonna happen. But he could have said, and the woman will be saved. But yet he doesn't say that. He says the woman will be raped. So right here, it shows that he doesn't respect women at all. If he really loves us,
that doesn't mean that he's the one causing them.
But it is though, because if it's not him saying it, he could have said, "Oh, Moses would do it, or somebody else would do it."
He will gather the nations, but he didn't say.
Doing it.
Well, he didn't say, "I will gather the nations, and I will make sure the women are." Like it says, "I will gather the nations, and then in these times, these women will be." Da, 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 da. It's not like he wants it to happen. There's Satan. There's the serpent. There's the serpent
that's
that
what
caused
you're
the fall.
doing. What you're doing is interpreting the Bible, and that is a sin. So don't do that again. What you're doing is
use sin and the Bible if you don't agree with it, and then use it against me. Like I don't understand.
1 Timothy 2:12. Hold on.
What do you agree? Do you believe the Bible is valid or not?
Cap.
Do you believe we're sinners?
Caprice is called an internal critique. What we're showing you is you believe that the Bible is true, and if you believe that the Bible is true, then you have to believe that you are not allowed to put any of your own things into it or take anything away from it. Okay, and so that is what Alyssa is trying to show you. It doesn't say that there. That's a story you've made up in your head to decide to explain it away. God will literally tell you, people, I did this thing, and you guys will go, yeah, but God didn't really do it. You guys take the power away from your own God. You take his own words out of his mouth and say, no, he didn't say that. All you're doing is weakening your God when you do that.
Mm-hmm. And also, Cap, Satan cannot do anything without God's permission. So why are you blaming an entity if God told him to do it? Shouldn't you be blaming God for it and not Satan?
No.
But you should, because in the verse Job...
Excuse me, Arsenal, don't interrupt. Stay muted.
Sorry, I'm just saying that happy birthday to you.
Okay, it's not my birthday today, so don't interrupt.
Yes, but you had your birthday like 2 days ago.
I did. You're interrupting. Stop. I'm going to disconnect you and come back later when you're ready to behave. I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm laughing, guys.
Because in the verse Job, if God despises Satan, why do they have a whole conversation towards each other? And God is telling Satan to go curse Job and unalive his family. So Satan cannot do anything without God's permission. So why are you upset at Satan but not God for telling Satan to go do these awful things?
I'll admit I struggled with Job, but when I read it again and again, I understood what the story is actually saying. There's a lot in Job that it makes a lot of sense when you look into it. But guys, I can't debunk the whole Bible for you. There's so many things.
I know you can't.
Wait, please. I'm still talking.
No, but I do want to say something real quick. I want to say something about that man that just came up. I want to tell you that what you're doing by perpetuating a patriarchal, misogynistic religion is men like Arsenal came up here and thought, I can talk over women because I'm a fucking man, okay? And they all think that they could do whatever the fuck they want to women because of this fucking Bible and this fucking religion that teaches
but we've been
patriarchy.
talking
I am
over
not
each other.
done talking. Why are you doing that? I muted you. I cleared the way and said I'm going to talk for a minute about that guy, and I fucking want to finish what I'm saying. He came up here thinking it was perfectly fine to do what he did because of this religion, because of these religions, because the Abrahamic religions say that women are property. You are not valued. They want to take away your right to vote, and you're probably going to give it to them because you're going to go, that's okay. My husband knows what we want, and he will do what's best for our whole family.
You don't know my political stance. You haven't even asked. You're
No,
just
I haven't.
assuming.
No, I haven't. But you would give away our right because Jesus.
No, you're putting words into my character. You're trying to speak for who I am. You can't do that. And you
told
say
me
that
who
he
you
was
are by
interrupting
the
us,
words that you
but you've been
said.
interrupting me. So
You
we've been
looked at
interrupting
Job
each other, and
thought
we're
that was
both
a
women.
good story.
My point exactly. We've been interrupting each other, and we're women. So what's your point?
What does that have to fucking do with anything, you fucking idiot? He came up here and he fucking did it because he is a man.
He
not
probably
because
treat me better than the way you're treating me right now, hon. You've been interrupting me. You're not a man.
I fucking don't care. I'm the host. Do you not understand that? Do you not understand how this works?
Treat people as you want to be treated. That's what the Bible teaches.
That's what she's
I
doing.
love that.
This is what fighting for what's right looks like. This is what fighting for what's right looks like. This is why Crystal gets upset.
Okay, I wanted to have a
People like
conversation.
you overtly stay in your little ways of thinking. I'm sorry, but you've got your little ways of thinking, okay? And you don't understand what it's like to fight for women's rights. And you yourself
Yes, I
said
do.
that
You do not know my political stance or where I've been in my life. I was a witch, by the way.
You've defended all.
I know all about
you keep defending all of these things that
and all
the
of
Bible
that. I
has
know
done
all
to
about the
women.
spirits that you
So you're not
communicate
fighting
with.
for women if you're doing that.
Look,
And
I was
I'm talking
communicating
over
with
you because
Carly
you don't know when to
and
stop.
all of these
so.
other spirits, and
You haven't shut up. You keep
Jesus
saying
Christ
somebody's
revealed-
interrupting you, but you're literally interrupting every time someone talks on this panel right now. Now, why don't you be quiet
I
for a
want to
minute?
leave. Please,
Let
can I
her finish.
leave?
I don't care. You can fucking. I don't control you. Fucking do whatever you
Peacefully.
fucking want.
I want to
No,
peacefully
I'm not
leave.
gonna fucking peacefully be peaceful with you when you sat there and
Why?
interrupted me and then interrupted Jerry and wouldn't shut up on purpose because you
I
didn't want to
agree.
hear what we had to say. You
I
just want
agree.
to fucking kiss up to men because you're a pick me.
No.
Be a pick me on a Christian line.
I'm
Don't
sorry
do
for
anything.
interrupting you. I am sorry for interrupting you. Okay, I take accountability for that. But I do also want to say he interrupted us. You also interrupted me, and we're not perfect. And it's not a men versus female issue when it comes to
still on
interrupting.
Female. He did it because he was a man. I happen to know him, by the way. He's
You're
been
not
on my
doing it
show
'cause you're a
before,
man.
by the way. But I know
I noticed
him.
that you said
Pumpkin.
man versus female. That's
I know.
very telling
'Cause she's
because
a
you don't
fucking
view women
virgin.
as women. You view them as females. You view them as subhuman because
No,
only
I
people who
don't.
view
I've
women as
dated women.
subhuman
What are you
refer to
talking
other
about?
women as females.
You don't know my story. I've dated more women than I've dated men, so you can't speak
We
for me and
know
say
your story because you're telling it to us as you speak. When you fucking call women female and call men men, you're saying women are not human. They are just an animal.
Okay,
That is
sorry.
what you are saying by using those words.
And
When you say that you have read Job's story over and over again, and now you find it to be beautiful, even though a woman lost 10 fucking children in one day for no fucking reason other than Yahweh wanted to show everybody how big his dick was, that tells me you don't give a fuck about women.
Okay, sorry, that was funny that you said that. Look, I'm sorry.
shouldn't
I
be
can
laughing.
tell
It's
you're
not supposed to
angry,
be
and I
funny.
can
Yeah,
tell
it's
you've
You
not
got a
laughing at that's
funny.
kind of disturbing.
Hey,
Capri,
guys.
stop. It's not
Okay.
funny.
All right. Look, I just want to say, I can tell you're strong. You're a woman that's strong on justice. Sorry for calling you woman. I don't know if that's offensive, but it's the language, right? I can tell you're strong on justice, and I love that. I'm a justice person too. But what I don't appreciate is you assuming that I'm not for justice just because I believe in Jesus, okay? It's actually because I'm for justice that led me to Jesus Christ.
Bible is what I have a problem with. How come? I'm going to list off about a few things to you here, and I want
No,
you.
I want to leave. I want to go.
Fucking
Please.
leave! Get the fuck off my live! Nobody is keeping you here, but if you're going to be here, I'm going to keep talking.
Okay, but I just wanted to say goodbye.
Women are valued less than men by the shekel. Okay, women are 30, men are 50.
Right. It's whatever you believe, hon. You rule the world,
men
right?
are not allowed to be sold by their fathers. Women were never set free, but men were set free in the year of Jubilee. Women were raped, but God had them raped. David's wives were raped. God had it done. Yeah. Run fucking fast. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have got so mad at her so early on. But I think there's a part of me that when these young women come up and they're just so fucking naive, I see myself and I want somebody to yell at me when I was her age. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Well, it makes sense to me. I wish future Robin could go back in time and yell at young Robin and be like, "Why are you doing this to yourself? Be the person that you're supposed to be. Stop trying to be somebody that you're not."
Yeah. And it's fighting for people and for change is hard, and it is emotional. There's nothing calm about it. The overtly calmness that she was using to manipulate the situation was so telling.
It really was. I really hate that. And the more you do that, the more vulgar and the more animated I'm going to become, because after a while, I'm going to pull it out of you. You're fucking fake as fuck. I hate that fake shit. Okay, I hate it. That is how Christians teach people to manipulate people your whole life. I really have thought about this. So many people who deconstruct are the black sheep of their family. That's who they are, right? And I think it's because we will not fucking allow the bullshit.
Well, we haven't been heard. Nobody will hear us. Nobody will listen.
Yeah, and I'm not going to, you can come up here on this live and you can lie, but the only person you're lying to is yourself, because my audience, my people are too fucking smart to believe that Jesus really didn't mean like a slur when he said dog. He meant little puppy and he loved her. I'm sorry. Her.
Relationship, I was like, you're the first person that should be like advocating for what Crystal is saying, not defending all the stuff that's been done to women. I don't get it.
She told on herself whenever she and slip. She let out that she does not view women as completely human beings.
And they don't realize that we hear those things. She keeps saying, you don't know the way I think, or bitch, you're telling me with everything you're saying, you are literally telling me. I can hear it in your words. When you say female, when you say that you reread Job and it became beautiful, the fuck? Rereading Job should not suddenly make you go, oh, it's really a beautiful story and I love it.
He lost all of his
That really hit
children.
home
That's
to me. That's
okay.
part of the reason why I came up, was I heard that, because people who know my decon story know that the book of Job was the beginning of my seed of doubt that started my journey. I saw the moral depravity, the psychopathic, sadistic, narcissistic, voyeuristic, disturbing characteristics of Yahweh joining forces with the Hasatan to ruin someone's life for a bet.
She just
A
said female
bet.
again in the comments. She said female saints ordained in the Orthodox and Catholic Church. Female saints. Female, because they're not humans, they're dogs. Female dogs, is that what you mean? Because a female could be a hippopotamus, Caprice. Do you mean women? Women saints were ordained, or were they octopuses? I don't know what you mean when you say female. It can be any. Were they snails, Pumpkin? No, you're using terms that dehumanize women. You're a misogynist. You have internal misogyny. It's a real thing. You should look it up.
And overt narcissism. Well, I'm not saying she's a narcissist. I'm just saying one of the tactics she was using was one of the symptoms of it. And that's a beautiful story, Robin, that you just told about the story of Job being one of your breaking points and deconstructing.
Robin, have we talked about how that story affected me too before? Or I can't remember if we talked about that.
What, Crystal? I don't think I've heard that from you. I would love to hear about it, though.
Okay, so when I was 3 years old, one day I don't remember everything. I know I was taken away and put in an orphanage, and then I was told I was getting on a plane and I was going to go live with my aunt and uncle. I don't know why you guys, I don't know why on YouTube the picture keeps going in and out. I'm sorry, I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, so I went to live with my aunt and uncle, and at the time I went, it was my one brother and me. I was one of 8 children, so it's just me and my brother are going to live with this aunt and uncle that I don't even know. I'm 3. I don't know who the fuck these people are, right? Eventually, he would go live somewhere else. They traded us like we were, Pokemon cards, I guess. I don't know. And then my sister Linda came to live with us, and eventually she was killed by a drunk driver. So it was just me. I had no brothers and sisters. So as I got older and I heard this story in Job, I literally thought, what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about that you gave them 10 new children and somehow I'm supposed to be okay with that? Because you see, I was given a new family too. And while I did love my new family, I didn't want them. I wanted my family. I wanted my brothers and sisters back. Like for most of my life, I wanted that so bad. I did not want new brothers and sisters, but that's what I got. I did not want a new mom and dad, but that's what I got. That story made me sick to my stomach. I felt disposable. I felt replaceable. I felt tradable. That's how Job made me feel.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't find it.
Something that they often said was, I'm forgetting where in the actual Bible it talks about this, but I'm pretty sure it's Solomon specifically that they're talking about, where the quote is something along the lines of the beginning of true wisdom is fear of God.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly what the book of Job did to me. It made me utterly afraid of God. And I started to begin to wonder, do I want to continue worshiping a God that I live every single day in utter fear of? Because part of what actually kept me in the cult for so long was not eventually the fear of hell, I was able to work past that. But what really fucked with me was thinking about how God might punish my loved ones, my classmates, my acquaintances, and totally innocent people just to get to me, just to prove a point. God may harm just totally innocent people.
Yeah, it's a real feeling. Like, I mean, these stories, I don't know, they just don't have the feel good feelings that I thought as a Christian, or that I believed, that I fell for when I believed apologetics and so forth. It's the same with Cain, right? Like, I was so scared I could be rejected and not know why. Because Cain was rejected without knowing why. And let's remember that God was all knowing, and he knew if I reject Cain's gift to me, violence will ensue, and he will kill Abel, and he did it anyway.
Funnily, what started, like, there are two things that kind of, there's so many things in an autistic child where I was like, what do you mean? How?
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I guess. But there were a few things that I could just never compute. First of all was the use of the word fear. I was like, wait. My mommy said God loves me. How am I supposed to fear love? That doesn't compute. I don't understand. And then what deconstructed me is when people would say, like, God knows everything, that you're going to live, everything. So I was like, well, if everything's already planned and I can't do anything about it anyway, who cares? Like, yeah. Why should I make any effort since it's already all laid out, all planned, all done? Like, there's nothing I can do anyway. I'm stuck. So I'm just going to do whatever because that's what's planned for me, apparently.
Exactly. And you know what, you guys, real quick, this might be a good time to talk about a little project I'm working on. I'm buying some vintage Bibles, and then I am turning these Bibles into the Witch Bible, which is Why I Tossed Christianity Hand List. And in the Bible, I am highlighting and tabbing many of the places, and there's so many, I'll never be able to do them all, where God, the Bible, whatever, treats women horribly. Let's turn to one now. The Lord said to Moses, tell the people of Israel that, oh wait, I don't want to do this one because I forgot this translation is horrible, by the way. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's the Catholic Living Bible. This is such a horrible translation. But the good news is, when people purchase one of the Bibles from me, I'm going to put a QR code that you can scan and go to a document that explains why the verse is horrible. Instead, let's go to this story in Numbers, okay? And the Lord said to Moses, tell the people of Israel that if a man's wife commits adultery, but there is no proof, there being no witness, and he is jealous and suspicious. Let's remember that that's all he has to be. How many women have had a man wrongfully jealous or suspicious of them, huh? I'm probably every fucking woman on the planet.
Oh, that's always so fun
many.
when it happens.
Right? The man shall bring his wife to the priest with an offering for her of a tenth of a bushel of barley meal without oil or frankincense mingled with it, for it is a suspicion offering to bring out the truth as to whether or not she is guilty. So we're going to do a little spell here. Oh, Christians don't like to call it a spell. The priest shall bring her before the Lord and take holy water in a clay jar and mix it into the dust from the floor of the tabernacle. He shall unbind her hair and place the suspicion offering in her hands to determine whether or not her husband's suspicions are justified. This is as stupid as the fucking witch thing where we would throw a witch in, and if she drowned, she was a woman, but if she floated, she was a witch. The fuck are we doing, people? He shall unbind her hair and place a suspicion offering in her hands to determine whether or not her husband's suspicions are justified. The priest shall stand before her holding the jar of bitter water that brings a curse. Literally witchcraft here, people. He shall require her to swear that she is innocent. And then he shall say to her, if no man has slept with you except your husband, be free from the effects of this bitter water that causes the curse. Hey, listen, people, that's not how fucking poison works. That's not how it works. It cannot determine as it is going down your throat and into your gully whether you're a liar or not. Some people are going to be affected by the poison, some people more than others, and some may not be affected by it at all. That's how fucking science works, okay? But if you have committed adultery, then Jehovah shall make you a curse among your people, for he will make your thigh rot away and your body swell. And the woman shall be required to say, yes, let it be so. Then the priest shall write these curses in a book and wash them off into the bitter water. When he requires the woman to drink the water, it becomes bitter within her if she is guilty. No, that's not how it works. Then the priest shall take the suspicion offering from the woman's hand and wave it before Jehovah and carry it to the altar. He shall take a handful representing all of it and burn the handful upon the altar, and then require the woman to drink the water. If she has been defiled, having committed adultery against her husband, the water will become bitter within her, and her body will swell, and her thigh will rot, and she shall be a curse among her people. But if she is pure and has not committed adultery, she shall be unharmed and will soon become pregnant. This then is the law concerning a wayward wife or a husband's suspicion against his wife. Remember, she doesn't actually have to be wayward. He just has to be a fucking jealous motherfucker. And what thigh rot means is that her actual womb will fall out, okay? And she will never be able to have babies again. Now, let's remember that a lot of times these men were wrong. A lot of times these women were pregnant with the man's baby. So what he really does is cause her to have an abortion of their own child and make it so she can never have children again. What a fucking lovely, lovely story here. And again, where is this for men? I'm sorry, can somebody show me the chapter and verse where if a woman thinks her man is cheating, she can make it so he can no longer produce sperm?
Yeah, Christians, come on up. I'd love to hear about some sort of potion that the priest gives to men that causes the penis to fall off. I'd love to hear about that.
I think that verse is in the Gospel of Lorena Bobbitt.
Yes, hero over there.
I was waiting for the verse. I was about to write it down before you said Lorena.
This then is the law concerning a wayward wife or a husband's suspicions against his wife to determine whether or not she has been unfaithful to him. He shall bring her before the Lord, and the priest shall handle the situation as outlined above. Handle it. He will give her an abortion. Her husband shall not be brought to trial for causing her horrible disease, for she is responsible. And that's just one of the many fucking verses that are clearly against women in the Bible. And yeah, I know, I probably, you know, Liz and Nick and everybody did so good. They were so gentle with her. But I don't know, I just like want somebody to shake these young women up and make them realize that they're just giving away all their rights to these men. Everything. They're just giving it away to them. Yeah, it does sound like a cover for men giving STIs to their wives, right? It really does. You guys, I'm only going to be live for about 5 more minutes. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you for all the likes, the shares, and the gifts. I will be live again tomorrow. I will have an Auntie sermon for you tomorrow. I just don't know what yet. I don't know if I'm going to do a bonus episode for you guys tomorrow or what. I will have today's episode uploaded in a few hours. I just have to do some editing. It actually takes me a little while to edit. I'm not going to lie. It takes me a few hours to edit. So it'll probably be up this evening. But I've had a wonderful day. I had a wonderful birthday. I had a wonderful time in Sedona. It was amazing. And I have a lot of projects going on right now. So make sure you are in my Discord. You guys, if you're not in my Discord, you should be. It's a very quiet Discord, but we are very nice people. We have a lovely time in there. There's memes, there's D&D, there's Hebrew class, there's artwork. And I'm making a place for anybody who's an artist to sell ACEOs. And if you're an artist and you don't know what an ACEO is, go look it up on TikTok. It is so cool. They're very small little pieces of art. Wait, do I have some here? I might have some that I can show you. Yes, I do. I have a lovely little collection here. So they're these little pieces of art that you can collect from different artists, like Pokemon cards, basically. They're just tiny pieces of art. And they're so cool. And you can make them and sell them, and people can collect yours. But I need more people in the deconstruction community to make them. I want pagans and witches and atheists and agnostic and ignostic. I want to collect art from all of you. Buddhists. I don't care. Anybody who wants to create art.
Just saying. I'm gonna make some calligraphy. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna participate.
Yay! I'm so excited. I started on Tiny Gallery. You could do a free Tiny Gallery, or it's $10 a month if you want unlimited or whatever. But that's where I'm posting my stuff. The link is in my link tree. And yeah, I will be back tomorrow around 10:30. Depends on how fast I get ready tomorrow. And yeah, I think that's it. Don't forget Auntie Sermons. Don't forget Discord. Is there anything else I need to remember? Anything you guys need to promote or remind anybody? Bye, Kimberly.
I can say really fast. Crystal, you look beautiful today. I love your eye makeup. The blue looks gorgeous on you. Love the jewelry. You look great.
That's so sweet. Thank you. This little necklace right here I got in Sedona. It's vintage Czechoslovakian satin beads. Aren't they pretty?
Ooh, cool.
And then this ring was my mother's, and it's opal and peridot because opal was her birthstone, and then peridot, I guess.
Me too. I love opals.
My sister Linda's, and then this is a mystic. I mean, not a mystic topaz. This is an ametrine, I think is what it's called, because it's part amethyst and part citrine. See how it's two colors?
Cool.
A shift from yellow to purple. Those are opposite contrasting colors too. That's really different.
Now this one is probably lab created, but they are nature like that. You will get an amethyst and a citrine that grow together like that, and so the color will be split. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Really cool. And purple and yellow are complementary colors too. So it's funny that that happens in nature.
I know, right? It's so cool, right? Anyway, all right, you guys, who can we raid today? Who's live right now? And I don't think Lathe is listening. Hey, if you are over on YouTube, make sure you're following me, subscribe to me. And thanks for being here. I really appreciate everybody over on YouTube hanging out. Thank you for the belated birthday. Yeah, reading the Bible is why I don't believe too. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of shitty stuff in the Bible. All right, I don't know who we can raid, but go raid somebody. Tell them Crystal loves you, and I will see you all tomorrow right here. I will see you around the main streets of TikTok and YouTube. Bye.
Okay.
Go ahead, read it.